on the Tide 100.9 app.
Good morning. Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show for a Tuesday edition of the program. We're live, local, and ready to get things rolling right here on your home for Alabama Sports Tide 100.9, the playbook for today as we add DC Capstone report to the conversation. Is going to feature some similar conversations that we had yesterday, and we're just going to get DC and his thoughts on that. So we want to invite you to get in on that conversation. So glad that you've chosen to make us a part of your morning routine. Remember that you can always join the conversation at 205-342-9904, 205-342-9904. It's been a few weeks since we got to hear DC. He's back and fully recovered. So excited to have him into the conversation, as it seems like it's been months, but I think DeBoer's been our coach for a week, but it seems like it's been forever. And so when I'm asking the question, I was like, am I right when I'm saying let's make sure that we review his first full week of activity. We'll get that as part of the playbook for today. We'll also look at just it's amazing how the Predators jumped on Alabama's roster and on Alabama's demise and how bad it is. I hope to help you all give you a calming presence around this football program. And I don't have it listed as a topic, but I kind of want to have an overall theme of around over this next few days around how this is going to come to the benefit of Alabama. I know it's hard to believe that everything that has gone on over the past 8, 10, 12 days could actually benefit Alabama. I know that's hard to believe, but I'm telling you, there's some things happening over in that building that we will not see the full effect of until the fall. You won't even see the full effect of it in the spring. But I'm telling you, there's some things that have happened that will benefit this football program for this fall. Now, do not get me wrong. Coach Saban is the GOAT. He's the GOAT. But was it time? Did he go out at the right time? I know a lot of people say he should have planned it better, all those things. But did he go out at the right time? And then the other side of it, is it possible, literally, that the move by Saban may actually help college football and expose the future potential underbelly of the transfer portal and NIL? We'll talk about all of those things and more. Remember that this is the day that the Lord has made, so let's rejoice and be glad in it. Take some time today to notice someone, love someone, serve someone, be the difference you want to see in the world today. Hey, good morning, DC. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. Good morning, Martin. How are you this morning?
Doing well. Man, Jason Rutledge coming out saying, man with 3 N's. Martin, I'm excited about this new era. No more man versus running. No more man versus running QBs, new defensive schemes, explosive offense. I'm excited. Laugh out loud. DC, before we get into any specifics, just what are your thoughts of Kalen DeBoer in his first, I guess, full week on the job?
Well, I mean, I think he's done a good job his first week on the job. I think he's gotten in there and endeared himself to the team. I think that was the first thing. He had to win the team, and those that have stayed. When you hear them talk, I've heard Malachi Moore speak. I've heard Tyler Booker speak, and Deontay Lawson. I mean, they seem to have bought in early on. And any person who can go into a room where the greatest of all time has talked and spoken and has the hearts of all the players, and then gets a core group to believe and buy in that fast. You have to say he's done a good job of buying in on the team. And then he started assembling a staff with all what looks like from the outside looking in. What we know now is it's a really good staff and a good mix. And then he started hitting the road recruiting. You've seen him and his staff out about recruiting, and I think he's weathered the storm well. And it's been a storm. I mean, they people pounced on the roster and got the ones to leave that could leave, and but I think he's done a really good job in his first week. And it's hard to say. It's just been a week. It seems like a month, but it's been, he's only been on the job a week. I think he's done a really good job.
Absolutely, I'd have to give him an A++ on everything. I love the fact that Malachi Moore actually said what I've been saying is, he accepted this challenge with open arms. I don't know if you guys have heard or not, DC. He was one of the top candidates, but some of the other candidates didn't interview. You know why? They did not want to be the guy after the GOAT.
Yeah.
They literally, there was a couple of names that I've heard now, reportedly, that would have gotten interviews but didn't because they kind of upfront said no. Well, you know where they would be on the list if the DeBoer didn't work out? Not on it.
Not on it. Yeah.
I mean, think about that. And Malachi Moore said, "Man, a guy who would openly embrace this job is a guy I want to follow." And I'm paraphrasing what he said, but that's the type of attitude. And I think what you've seen, DC, is this coach has come in with the right mindset and right attitude, and it's gonna pay huge dividends for Alabama. I want to quickly, we talked about this yesterday, but I'd like to get your thoughts before we go to break on what you think about Ohio State and what they're doing. And I told somebody, if Lane Kiffin's calling you out for how much money you're spending on the portal, you're probably pretty bad off.
Yeah, I think I talked to someone yesterday about it, and Lane Kiffin's tweet about $13 million. I think that was just Lane Kiffin does the same thing, getting people in and that sort of thing. But I think that was just setting off an alarm out there to say, hey, it's kind of the same thing Coach Saban used to say. This is the way you want. This is what you want college football to be like. Okay, we're going to do it. And I think that was just a sounding alarm to the entire college football landscape is, hey, this is what's going on, and this is what it's going to get to, and everybody's going to be in this race to get so much money to buy these players. And what Ohio State's done is they doubled down. They went in and said, hey, we're going to have this much money to compete. If you want to beat the teams, this is what we got to have. We got to have talent. And they raised that much money, and now they're spending the money, and they're making the splash. And they're really writing themselves into a corner. And if they don't win the national championship, then it's a failure this year. So I think that's kind of the landscape of college football is right now with the NIL and transfer portal.
Will Ryan Day be fired if they don't win it? Is this a winner take all bust or championship?
Well, I think he set himself up for that. I mean, if he doesn't beat Michigan, I think he's fired. If he doesn't make the playoffs, I think he's fired. And some would say if he doesn't make a deep run and win the national championship, he's fired.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see. I mean, you don't buy this to. I hope you don't buy this just to beat Michigan.
No.
I hope you don't do this just to make the playoffs. To me, there's going to be 12 other teams that will do one of those goals. I mean, 11 other teams is going to make the playoffs.
Uh-huh.
So what are you investing in all of those players for? And that's kind of the question. And I didn't have this up there, but it popped up in my head. And I think this is DeBoer's approach. I think this was Saban's approach as well. Because what we're finding out is the reason there were guys who were leaving is Saban had embraced NIL to a certain degree. In other words, he was trying to pay his players all kind of they were getting a stipend from like the collective, okay? From my understanding, and I could be partially wrong with this, DC, they all got a certain amount. But then guys could go out and get other things from name, image, and likeness, okay? Versus these other coaches are literally paying for play. In other words, all of the players at Alabama got a certain amount of money, and I know what that amount is, and someday I may share it. But they got that every month. And then I've heard what it is. I don't know it for a fact because I haven't seen anybody's chat. But DC, then they would they could go out and get other deals like Bryce did and things like that. But that was on them. That was them going out and get it. And then all of them had to do certain appearances and certain things like that. They had to do something supposedly to get that money. But these other coaches now are paying these guys to come in right off the street before they've done anything for their particular team. And there's going to be all these different levels of what the collectives are doing for different players. On the other side, DC, I want to talk about the ugly underbelly of the NIL/transfer portal scenario. And we'll talk about what that disparaging amount has the potential to do to a roster. Ohio State right now probably has the best roster in college football. But why could that be a problem or an issue? We'll talk about it on the other side.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. Our T-Town traffic map looks wide open and free of any real problems early on this Tuesday morning drive. 2059 between Foster's and Cottondale. You're moving at posted speeds there. Traveling Lurling Wallace down from Northport, crossing over the Hugh Thomas Bridge to Jack Warner Parkway. Same story with no big problems along the way. Just a quiet start all around. With your Tuscaloosa traffic now, I'm Ray Romero.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. 120,000 miles of night drives, daily commutes, and who knows how many.
Are we there yet?
Through countless fixes, elbow grease, and a new radiator, you kept your ride alive. With eBay Motors, you have over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
West Alabama's Big Old Deer Hunting Contest is underway. Weekly winners are picking up $50 gift cards for Texas Roadhouse. And all weekly winners are entered into the grand prize competition at the end of the season. Take your big buck over to Hicks Taxidermy, the official taxidermist of the Big Old Buck Hunting Contest. Presented by Paul's Feed and Seed, Adams Heating and Cooling, Anders Hardware, Crimson Pride Hunting and Fishing, Stacy Perkins, Modern Woodmen of America, and Riverside Feed and Seed. Win your shot at thousands of dollars in cash and prizes with the Big Old Buck Hunting Contest.
Your best bet for big wins is just minutes away at Birmingham Racecourse Casino, where you can be a winner too. Off I-459, exit 31 Derby Parkway.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
The warming trend continues today, mostly cloudy through tonight. A few spotty showers around. The high today 62, tonight's low 54. Tomorrow and Thursday, cloudy with rain both days. Maybe a few thunderstorms as well. Highs between 67 and 70. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 49 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Welcome back to the Martin Houston Show, the sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team. on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier, powered by MaX Sports. X is out on assignment today. We do have DC Capstone report in with us as we move forward. I want to remind you of something that's going on at Alabama 1 today and tomorrow. Today from 12 to 1 and tomorrow from 4 to 5. Alabama 1 is a big supporter of women athletics at the university, and we've created a custom calendar featuring all the athletes. Basketball, of course, Barker, Jay's daughter is Miss December. She's one of the highlights of the calendar. Of course, on the cover, we have a couple of softball players, and they have their individual months as well. But it's a great calendar. And the first one to our members is free. But yesterday, today, and tomorrow, these different young ladies, based on their month, are going to be there signing and giving away a free calendar. So stop by our main location today at 12 to 1. Get one for you, your daughter, your wife, your friend, your coworker, or whatever, and get them to sign it. It'd be a great opportunity for you there. First 100 get one signed for free. That's today at 12 to 1 and tomorrow 4 to 5. Alabama 1, a huge sponsor of women athletics, and we'll be doing some more special things coming up. That's NIL, guys. That's DC. That's NIL. We've paid these young ladies to do a calendar. And now guess what happens? They did a calendar. We paid them money. Now they're going to be up on all of these people's refrigerators and all over the state because of Alabama 1 being a statewide franchise. And somebody may actually see them and go, I like her. I'm going to watch her, and then decide that they want to actually have them come and do something for them down the road. So that's the power of building a brand and a name and an image and a likeness. This whole thing we got right now is chaos. And we're going to get to that, but we do have a caller that's been patiently waiting. Alan, you're in with Martin and DC. What's on your mind?
Good morning. I got a question for you, Martin. Well, we know Michigan, as of right now, we know Harbaugh is going to leave Michigan. That's inevitable. It just finding the right place and the right time for him to go back to the NFL. With all this stuff going on in Alabama, do you think that if he leaves Michigan and they don't hire that assistant coach that took his place, you're going to have the same thing happen up there?
DC, I'll let you respond first, and then I'll respond.
No, I think you're going to have similar something happen up there, yeah, for sure. Simply because it doesn't matter who you get in his place. You can hire an assistant and try to soothe the transition, but that doesn't necessarily always work when the money's involved and money's talking. And there's certain people who are going to leave just for the money, and we've seen that at Alabama. So I think it's important to understand that the landscape is that's been created. The timing can affect it some, but the actual leaving is what puts that 30-day window in there for them to start using the transfer portal. And I think you'll see it happen in other places, even Michigan, other places as well down the road.
Yeah, Alan, I do think that they have boxed themselves into a corner, meaning Michigan, if Harbaugh leaves. And the reason I say that is if they don't hire that coach, then there's going to be players who feel like he deserves the job. He won 6 of their games this year as the coach. So technically, as a coach, he's 6-0.
Correct.
And he held the team together when Harbaugh wasn't there. So, yeah, I think that impacts it. But to me, this is what no one's talking about. What happened to Alabama is the first time anything like this has ever happened. And that's why I said earlier that I believe what happened at Alabama will change college football. Now, is Alabama the first team to lose a coach? No. But Alabama is the first championship level team with a championship level roster to lose a coach after the window has closed.
Correct.
Okay. And so when you think about what happens there, Alan, is when other things are going on, coaches have or programs have leverage when they're out recruiting. In other words, let's go back and say Saban retires before the portal window closes. And Isaiah Bond walks in and says, "Hey, I'm going to leave if you don't pay me." They now have some negotiating power because they can say, "Okay, who else is in the portal? All of these top receivers are in the portal. Here's what you're going to get, Isaiah. Take it or leave it." Because before they tell him that, they'll go talk to another guy and say, "Hey, would you be willing to come play for us?" You see what I'm saying?
I understand, right.
So
Market,
now,
one-on-one.
once the window closes, everybody, Alabama has no negotiating power. They have, the players know right now, they know that if somebody comes offering them something, Alabama is over a barrel because DC, they can't go get anybody right now.
That's right.
They are literally stuck with the roster they have for now. And so, but no other great team or championship level team has ever gone through this. No number one, number two base roster has ever gone through this. Okay. So, so that's why it's been such a poaching of the roster. But when you look at it, here's what I want people to understand. We lost Isaiah Bond, so we have to replace what, 700 yards worth of offense, right?
And we did that.
Okay. Do you think that's a hard task for what's his name's offense? No.
No.
We have to replace a left tackle. I'm talking about starters right now. We have to replace a left tackle who would not have started in this offense. Caleb Downs would not have, Caden Proctor would not have been a starting left tackle in this offense. He may have moved into guard, maybe, but he was too heavy-footed for the thing he did worse is the thing he'd have to do best. And I just don't think he was ready for that. And I think he's smart enough to know that. Okay.
And that's what I said. That's what I said earlier on one of your other previous shows. But I have one more thing to ask you, Martin.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
but
I'm sorry.
real quick. Nye Black,
Okay.
we have to replace 4 touchdowns and a few hundred yards. Caleb Downs is the biggest hole we have to replace. And what do you replace him with? You replace him with more talent in all spots, not just him.
One spot, exactly.
Okay. And what happens is guys step up when a guy like that leaves and thinks it's more about him. Malachi Moores of the world want to prove that the reason Caleb Downs was as special as he was because the defense was built for him to be special. You have to understand that. Does that make sense? You remember a guy named
perfect sense.
You remember a guy named Keith McCants?
Yeah, I heard of him one time that got drafted number 1.
DC, do you remember a guy named Keith McCants?
I certainly do.
Definitely.
I remember Keith McCants.
Have y'all ever asked yourself why Keith McCants struggled when he got to the next level?
Because the defense was built around him at Alabama.
He was built to be the superstar. You ever heard a guy now this and he struggled because they didn't do it there. Have you ever heard of a guy named David Palmer?
Yeah, the Deuce. Yeah, I heard of him once or twice.
Why was David Palmer so special? The plays we ran for David Palmer was for what? For him to make big plays.
That's right.
I mean, are you getting the picture of what I'm saying? Caleb Downs is elite and special. He better hope that they build around him up there as well. Because the reality of it is, if I wanted to be messy and petty and all of that, Caleb Downs blew the coverage, I know, in the Texas game. And I'm not sure he wasn't the one that blew the coverages in the Michigan game. I'm just saying. Would he have been better? Do we want him? Absolutely. But he's the one that we struggle. But Alabama, if Alabama's not bigger than Caleb Downs and one player, we in trouble anyway. Go ahead, Al.
Exactly. Okay. Well, my other thing was, I heard you say something about Jay Barker's daughter is going to be on your calendar. Whatever happened to him on that case that he had with his ex-wife?
I do not know the details and all of that. I have heard that they're working through things and working things out, though. So I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know any details. I when I communicate with them, I just talk to them as a friend.
Well, I just remember that happened, and it was on the news. It made news everywhere. Did he lose his radio show or something like that? And,
no, he
I
chose
used to listen to him all the time.
He chose to back away from the public life to take care of family and get some things right. He kind of did that. But I can tell you that not everything is what it perceives to be. And the way the news reports it, just FYI. I do know that.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
Appreciate it. Well, DC, I look at this, and no one's ever gone through what Alabama's going through. And to his point, Michigan could be going through the same thing, and that's the unfairness of this rule. I mean, I someone was talking about Alabama. I said, could you imagine if everybody could, say the Cowboys had fired their coach, or the Eagles fired their coach, and every other NFL team could come get the players off of that roster, but the Eagles couldn't get any other players. I mean, you literally
sound like a messed up system.
You would literally be destroying your champions.
Yeah.
This move literally will destroy is whether they meant for it to not, but the way it's designed, if a top tier program leaves, they literally could fall off the map if they don't know how to handle this.
Yeah.
So that brings me to, once again, we didn't get to it in that segment, but the future underbelly of the transfer portal. Is it nasty? Do you want to be a part of it? Is Alabama going to be able to change it? We'll talk about that and more on the Martin Houston Show. We have DC Capstone Report in with us.
Hey, Frank, looks like business is booming. What are all those tabs you have open on your computer?
Oh, hey. Well, this one is for my SEO company. This one is for my website company. This one is for my CRM. This is for invoicing and estimates. This one does email. And this one does billing.
Geez, that sounds tricky to manage.
It's clunky, but I need all this to run my business. Wait, you run your own business, and you're even busier than I am. Don't you have all this stuff, too?
I do, but I get it all on one screen with the Town Square Business Management Platform.
What's that?
The Town Square Business Management Platform is an all-in-one tool that helps me grow and run my business. It combines website, billing, and scheduling into one program.
That sounds simpler than juggling all the tools I have now. Right?
Nope. They have powerful digital advertising built into the platform as well, which helps me keep my calendar full. You can get a demo of the product for free. Check out their website. See if it makes sense for your business.
Go to townsquarelocal.com for a free demo of the Town Square Business Management Platform. Visit townsquarelocal.com. That's townsquarelocal.com.
365, 24/7. You'll find road and utility crews, tow truck, law enforcement, and first responders working along Alabama's roadway.
We're making improvements and helping our communities stay connected.
We're working hard to make sure you're safe on the road. Now we need your help to make sure we're safe too.
Alabama's move over law requires you to move over a lane when you see flashing lights on the roadside. And if you can't safely move over, please slow down.
Visit drivesafealabama.org, brought to you by the Alabama Department of Transportation, Alabama Broadcasters Association, and this station.
It's time for the Martin Houston Show. With the same hard-hitting, no-nonsense approach in which he played the game, Martin will take you inside the locker room, down on the field, and across the goal line with his in-depth analysis.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier, powered by MaX Sports. Want to remind you about Billy's Cooking Restaurant. Go to Billy's Cooking LLC, and you can see some pictures of the great food options they have there. Want to remind you that there's also the Wing Wednesday, Fish Friday, and Soul Food Sunday. Billy's Cooking Restaurant opens at 11 o'clock Wednesday through Sunday. Go by and check them out and tell them that Martin Houston told you to stop by. And if you're looking to partner, great sponsorships on the radio airwaves as well as on the live stream between the networks that I have, over a couple million people were reached in the last 28 days. So good things happening. And if you want to get your brand out there, we'd love to help you do that. Send an email to martin@martinhouston.org. All right. DC, the future underbelly of the transfer portal. Nasty or what? Is this going to be is this going to be the catalyst that shows everyone just how broken this system is?
Well, I think definitely it's an opportunity for people to look in and really see what's going on behind the scenes and what's happening. And I think Alabama happens to be the guinea pig on this, and it has to be done at a time where focus is on Alabama. Everybody in the world is watching when Coach Saban retires, and then their eyes are still on the program when all these things take place. So it can't be done in secret anymore. These things are done, and people start looking at it and seeing what's happening, and then you get all these people that have got their hands into this. That you start seeing these people behind the scenes are doing things, and it more exposed as a pay for play and not what the NIL was intended for. And I think that's what Coach Saban's been saying for a long time now. But now we've been able to see it, and it took his retirement and the timing of it to see that. And I think we're seeing it, nationwide. Everybody's looking into it on it, and you can't help but leave a bad taste in your mouth when you see what's happening with the people behind the scenes and what's going on with some of these players.
Yeah, and I'll give you a locker room perspective, which is crazy. It's nasty and ugly, and my CEO at Alabama One always says sometimes when the curtain gets pulled back and you see how the sausage is made, I forget the name of the book that I had to read in high school, but it showed how like hot dogs were made and sausage made, and it was a meat factory, and it talked about how rats and stuff would fall into it and they just grind it up and keep it going. So it kind of go, ooh, that's how it's made. Well, everybody out there at like the one I love, DC, they'll go, well, now everybody can pay players, not just Alabama. It proves this right here proves DC, and what they don't understand is the stupidity of that statement. As I sidebar just a quick second, if Alabama was the one that was paying all the money before, why is it that Alabama now don't have the money to pay?
Yeah.
Right. It's like, well, Alabama's been paying players. Your schools had more money than Alabama the entire time. So all you guys had, I know what it is, DC. They had all Christian boosters that was full of integrity, and none of them cheated. Just the people that follow Alabama as boosters and with money were low lifes and etc. All the other programs, all their boosters were like above board guys. That's just, I'm like, you guys are stupid if you don't think your program. And listen, I know it's been going on behind the scenes, etc. forever. We just did it better than you. And we're going to do this better than you. I promise you, Alabama's going to be okay, DC. Mike Purser on a statement earlier said, if Michigan promotes the coach that fills in for Harbaugh, they probably won't have many transfers. What's many transfers? See, what everybody is not getting is Alabama hasn't lost that many transfers since Nick Saban left. Everybody keep throwing out the number, DC. 30 guys went into the portal. 30 guys have not decided to leave since Nick Saban retired. Some of those guys that were in the portal before were even told by Coach Saban they need to leave. Guys, roster management is a part of the new age of college football. So there was people who were told they had to leave, DC, before any of this happened, and they were already in the portal, okay? There were others who were told they may need to leave, and they probably got another chance, thought about it, and decided to leave. There's only been a handful of players actually leave. And when you look at their reasons, this is why Mike Purser's statement is if it was 5 years ago or 3 years ago, it would have been true. But the reason it's not true now is Caleb Downs' dad said that Caleb Downs was leaving, putting his name in the portal to leave Alabama because all the people he had relationships with were gone. Now think about that for a second. T-Rob left. Kevin Steele left. A couple other coaches stayed. The training staff stayed. The weight, strength and conditioning staff stayed. Oh yeah, and all his teammates were still there. But he's going to go somewhere else where he has recruiting relationships. So you're telling me that those recruiting relationships, DC, were better than the relationships he built over the last year with his teammates? Well, let me tell you what happened. His dad, they asked for an offer at Alabama. They got that offer, and then they shopped it. That's what happened. And Mike, that's what will happen at Michigan. There'll be some guys who are committed right now, but they'll open up and they'll get an offer and they'll see if they can get it matched. So, but DC, here's the question. How many players can a team have on a roster?
85.
85. Okay. So how many do you think Ohio State had at the end of their early signing period?
No, they would have probably been at the limit or above the limit.
So where are all these guys they've added recently going to play?
They're going to play. They're just people on the team is going to lose their positions.
Oh, so no one's talking about the fact that Ohio State probably has 90 scholarship players right now, or 95, or whatever the number is. They probably will sign a few freshmen in a couple days because they're still recruiting guys. So they are literally going to tell guys, you have to go. No one's talking about that. Well, tell me who's going to be, whose roster is going to be open with, whose roster is going to be open, DC?
Like for them to go to?
No, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Whose roster is who's going to be the one team in the country right now who's going to have an open roster with scholarships and literally be able to pick from the entire country? Alabama.
Alabama, Washington.
Yep. Yeah. So, and Washington could not be in that boat because they may not, based on how many we poach from them, I don't know how many guys they have leaving. You know what I mean? Like, we know that Alabama lost a lot of guys. So we know that Alabama has some open scholarships.
Right.
So he's going to be able to go out there and pick, DC. But here's the part that nobody's talking about, DC. That locker room, if you're the strong safety at Ohio State, how are you feeling today?
If you're the one that they're on the team and thought you were going to be starting, I don't think you're feeling very good today.
Yeah. If you're the quarterback in the room, how are you feeling with Julian saying in Ohio State being excited that a guy didn't even compete is now your coaches are now making a big deal about signing him?
Yeah, not very good. You don't feel good at all.
So, how you feeling if you're the guy on the team and the guy at any of these schools? In Alabama, in the same boat. How do you feel if some guy comes in and you've been doing the job and now that guy comes in and he's making double what you made?
Yeah. It disrupts team chemistry and culture completely.
So you're telling me that talent alone isn't enough?
No.
Okay, if we look at Alabama's most talented teams under Nick Saban, Anybody want to tell me who we've kind of said was his most talented team? 2010.
2010, the ones that didn't win.
Okay.
Because they had the culture problems.
Right. What about the defense? That was it 16 that we lost?
16, yeah.
To Clemson. Who's our most talented quarterback?
I guess it would be the number one pick.
Yeah. And then who would you say would be second? If you say Bryce, who would you say would be the most talented quarterbacks in Nick Saban's era? Bryce, Tua, right?
Tua. Mm-hmm.
Did either one of them win?
No.
Who would you say is the least talented quarterback in the Saban era?
Probably the first one.
Greg McElroy.
Greg McElroy.
And who would you say probably had the least talented team? Greg?
Probably Greg McElroy.
Yeah. I'm just pointing it out. Team is greater than individuals.
That's right.
But watch this, DC. Now watch me show you real life, DC. You ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
What's gonna happen when all of these young men who don't have great instructions get that tax return?
Oh yeah. Big eye-opening experience.
Do what?
A big eye-opening experience with the IRS.
Watch this though, because they're not going to have any write-offs, DC.
No.
So they better be paying. They're getting all of this money. Ooh, getting $1 million. Well, they're getting $1 million, and a lot of it is paid as a bonus and all that stuff, and based on how they set it up and et cetera. These young men don't understand that it ain't quite as much money as you think when you get into that tax bracket.
That's right.
Number two is, DC, what happens if a guy, the underbelly, remember? DC, what happens to these guys in 2-3 years and they get hurt, don't make it to the NFL, don't have the career they're expecting? You think they're going to still owe that money, that tax return? And I'm telling you, when players start having to deal with more than just school and their programs aren't set up to handle that, it's going to be a ugly, ugly mess, DC. You're
Most definitely. The one thing you haven't spoken to yet on part of the underbelly, and you got to talk about it, is, we talk about parents, where parents are trying to negotiate, but most every one of these high-profile players has an agent. And that agent is out there trying to get the best dollar because they're profiting off of how much money they get. The more money, the better off it is. So the loyalty goes out the window in the top dollar range, and they are the ones that are putting people in positions to get more money, but may not be the best position for that player. That itself is going to come out to haunt a lot of players.
You talking about fit?
Yes, fit.
When I used to choose to play, I chose on several criteria. School, coaching staff did matter. So I get kids wanting to open back up when Saban left. And then you choose it on, does this coach run a scheme that I fit into? That's all out the window when income gets brought in. Rodney Anderson pointing out their income is based as a bonus, 42.5% rate, like a lottery winner. And what happens to lottery winners? What's the statement about most lottery winners?
Most of them waste all the money because it's
and
gone.
They're broke within 5 years. What happens to most NFL players? Same thing.
Same thing.
It's tough to go from not having anything to immediately having a lot. And I understand. Like I said, I don't begrudge any player for leaving, for getting money, for getting paid. You've heard me complain about the NCAA more than anybody. But the reality of it is, I don't think the NCAA, the coaches, the players, the agents, and the parents, all of them have these players' best interests at heart. I think they have their interests at heart.
I would agree.
Therefore, the players will not end up, as a whole, they're going to be some that's going to have, we're going to have success story. Listen, what's his name has plenty of money, but I laughed when I saw Isaiah Bond got a Lamborghini lease, and then a few days later, he bought a Ford Bronco. Okay. Well, maybe he got a lease on the Bronco. I don't know. But anyway, we'll come back on the other side and put your finishing touches on this edition of the Martin Houston Show, powered by MaX Sports. We have DC Capstone reporting the conversation. Joey, hold on. We'll get you coming out of the break.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. We have picked up a new crash right on the edge of the U of A campus. This is westbound McFarland Boulevard at 13th Street. This one was in the center lane at one time, but we're not seeing any backup through the area. Looks like some progress has been made here in the last few minutes in getting it clear. So hopefully better news around the corner. But again, this is not impacting traffic in any major way, McFarland and 13th Street. With your Tuscaloosa traffic now, I'm Ray Romero.
Here's what's trending on the Tuscaloosa thread.
Good morning, this is Mary Kay from the Town Square Media Newsroom. And our area could see showers and thunderstorms starting Wednesday afternoon through Thursday evening. There is the possibility of this being a slow-moving system, and the forecast is calling for 2 to 4 inches of rainfall. And portions of Alabama are under a flood watch. And following a deadly shooting at the Crew Lounge in Tuscaloosa, the establishment officially released a public statement on the incident. As reported by the Tuscaloosa Thread, a security guard at the lounge in southern Tuscaloosa has been charged with murder after he allegedly shot and killed an unarmed man there early Sunday morning.
Go inside the Alabama Crimson Tide with the Gary Harris Show.
Hey everybody, it's Gary Harris. Coming up Tuesday morning on the Gary Harris Show at 9 a.m. We're going to be rocking and rolling as always with the Rocket Man, Rudy Armand, talking Bama football and basketball, plus more analysis on Nick Dunlap's historic victory on the PGA Tour. Your phone calls and more. That's the Gary Harris Show Tuesday morning at 9.
Catch the Gary Harris Show Monday through Friday, 9 to 11 a.m. on Tide 100.9 and Tide100.9.com.
Townsend Nissan Super Sale is underway right now with instant savings from $2,000 to $10,000 on most in-stock units. No reasonable offer refused. Shop Townsend Nissan today.
Get deals on what you need during MVP's bonus days at Lowe's. Right now, save $250 when you buy a DeWalt 12-inch sliding miter saw and adjustable stand together. Plus, save $710 on an LG kitchen suite and earn 3 times the bonus points on all LG appliances. Because Lowe's knows savings, Lowe's knows pros. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. Discount taken at time of purchase. See sales associate for details. Bonus points calculated before tax and fees after applicable discounts of any. Valid 1/15 to 1/26. Subject to change.
With Taco Casa, it's not really fast food because it's made fresh every day in the store. The quality hasn't changed. The consistency hasn't changed because we haven't changed anything in the food. It's made fresh every morning in every restaurant. I think buzzwords in today's food industry are locally sourced and high quality ingredients. We want to say, that sounds great. We've been doing that since 1974.
Under the biggest cactus in town, Taco Casa.
The sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team. The Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show as we wrap up this fourth quarter and this edition of the Martin Houston Show. DC, tell them where they can find you, sir.
Well, you can find me at DCCapstoneReport.com, DC Capstone Report Facebook page, and I'll go out there to other sites that Lance is working on. It's RollTideBama.com and FreelancePictures.com. Lance has been all over this transition, and he has some great pictures up there from Coach DeBoer's arrival and all other things, and just a lot of great content for you to catch up on all the transfers and things that are going on. So really appreciate y'all going out to our site. So your listeners have been really great to us, Martin. We really appreciate the relationship we have with y'all.
Yes, and then don't forget to support Karen Cottingham, realtor here in Tuscaloosa. She helps sponsor DC being on each day, 205-887-4008. Anywhere you're located in the state, if you're looking for a great realtor who can help you and do it with integrity, you need to call Karen Cottingham, 205-887-4008. Karen Cunningham with Keller Williams, Tuscaloosa. All right, DC. Let's get to Joey real quick. Joey, you're on with DC and Martin. What's on your mind?
Good morning, gentlemen, and I appreciate the time. You may have covered this, but at another day or something, I just haven't heard it. You were mentioning the money that the players are going to get, say, this year, the ones coming in this year. But you've got to look at the school and say, did the school burn themselves? If they put out $10 million, bringing in an awesome class this year, I'm just picking numbers. What are they going to do next year? Because the players coming in next year are going to see what the running backs this year got, what the linemen got, what the safeties got, the quarterback, and then the year after that. So they've got to almost put up $10 million every year at a minimum. And if they go up, like you said, the envy and jealousy that players get.
Yep.
It locks a program in, and some programs can't handle that kind of money every year. I mean, I'm looking back when Texas A&M may have paid out that much money. Do you think they spent that much money that one year? Do you think they spent that much the following year and the following year?
And we're
just a question, Mark. I want your feedback.
DC.
Yeah, I think you're bringing up a great point here, something we haven't discussed on this show, and that is the sustainability of this model that's out there. And it's really hard to do because you not only have to raise the $10 million, you have to one up it because the people coming in next they want to see what they can do better, and so you're going to have more money raised. So I think they've developed a model that's not sustainable, and you're going to find out that it's going to really hurt team chemistry and culture going down the road for all these teams. You get 3 years of this under your belt, and you got players that are individualized, no team effort, and I think it's going to come back to haunt a lot of people. You really hit on something here that most people aren't talking about is how can this be sustained going forward? And I don't think it can.
And not just that. Thanks, Joey. Not just that is DC is you now have the situation where you're giving these guys the money, but you're not giving it to them for 1 year. But technically, when do you pay it, right? Because supposedly Downs had gotten money coming out of high school, which Alabama would be breaking the rules if that's true. But are you giving it to him for 1 year, 2 years? Let's say we kept Downs this year. Let's say we kept him this year. And he had another year like he had. What do you think is going to happen for him next year?
Yeah.
You're going to have
need more.
He's going to want more. So not only do you have to pay the guys who are wanting to come to your team more, you're going to have to always keep paying the guys that come in. And the way you have
the ones that do well.
And the way you have to do this, DC, is you have to set up that just like the NFL, either we're going to have to go to an employee model and they're no longer student athletes. And Saban said this before COVID. I was in a meeting and Saban said, I see the day coming, and I think this is part of what he left for too, because he didn't want to be here when that happened. He said, I see a day coming when the players are no longer, they're going to play for your school, but not be students, semi-pro. And we're everything is semi-pro except for the student. But watch this. What type of degree is a guy going to get when he can move multiple times? That's number one. Number two is how do you keep a program when every year you have to bid? And now the NCAA has temporarily removed that you can get more than one free transfer. Y'all know Trey Amos came here as a grad. Trey Amos came here and now he's going to his second school. Hey, one thing I do like, DC, is when somebody put their name in the portal now, it looks like the new staff take their name immediately off to the Roll Tide page.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty quick. I've noticed that as well.
Yeah, I like that. But here's the thing. Whether in a team versus a program, can DeBoer do that here at Alabama? Because Alabama fans need to be patient to allow him, because I don't think he's trying to build a big team. I think he's trying to establish a program.
I agree 100%. And I think giving him the being patient to let him do that is a key in this. And having some of these players talk about him gives me just great indication we're in good hands going forward. And I don't think the sky's falling at Alabama. Everybody jumping ship. I think that's a misnomer. I think there's certain people that it's left that's going to maybe affect some positions, but it may make us stronger as a team. And I know that sounds crazy. It's not that I don't want these players, but sometimes some people that are individuals, the team becomes to rely on the individual than they rely on the team effort. And the team is a lot better as a team than they are as individuals. And I know you can speak to that being on a team, being a teammate. But it sounds like some of these players are saying, "Hey, you're either with us or you're against us." And if you got to go, if something can get you away that easy, you weren't bought into the team. You're in for yourself. Yeah. And they say, "Hey, wish you well. Take off, and we'll work what we got left." And I think that's the mentality this team is going to have. And I think it's just going to be a launch off of that length term that let all naysayers know. I think it's just going to solidify and kind of gild these players that are left into a great team this year. And I think a great team can really make a lot of accomplishments that certain individuals can't make.
Yeah, this team will be, like it, love it or hate it, Michigan was galvanized by everybody being against them this year.
That's
and
right.
They became a stronger team. I'm going to talk more about the benefit of being a galvanized team on tomorrow because it's paying dividends right now. It's paying dividends right now in how the guys are approaching this upcoming season. I think this has been a moment that's going to make us a stronger team. Now we still need to find a couple of piece parts, and I think DeBoer is well on his way in doing that and finding some key recruits and key players. Thanks, DC. Appreciate you, sir.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. Hey, coming back tomorrow, we'll keep the conversation going with a Would You Rather Wednesday. Would you rather be recruiting coaches or players right now? Would you rather be a team or a program? And, hey, Alabama benefits from being a galvanized team. We'll talk about it coming up next inside the locker room with Wimp and Barry Sanderson. I'm Martin Houston. That's DC Capstone Report. We'll be back tomorrow to keep the conversation rolling. Thank all the callers, listeners, viewers, and chatters for being a part of the program. Remember this, trust in the Lord always, lean not your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your paths. Roll Tide out to everybody.
Let's all celebrate and have a good time. Yeah, yeah.
Thank you for listening to the